Hello and welcome to this part 2 video, and in this video I'm going to describe something interesting that your friend has done but you haven't, and in it you should say what it was, where your friend did it, when your friend did it, and explain why it was interesting. I have decided to talk about an activity that my best friend did recently, and that was skiing. I have never been skiing before, however it is something that I've been dying to do for ages. I have to admit that I was a teeny bit jealous when she told me that she was going on my dream holiday. She had never been skiing before and had been saving up for about 5 years to go to a ski resort in the Alps in France with her boyfriend. Such a holiday is relatively expensive because there is so much kit that you need, such as a ski jacket, goggles, etc., and then all the equipment that needs to be hired when you get there. On top of all that, there are ski passes as well as accommodation and flights. In addition, spending money for the après-ski is essential. What I mean by après-ski is the social activities and entertainment following a day's skiing. So finally, after about 5 years of scrimping and saving, they had both saved up enough money to go, and they went earlier this year. They flew to France and then hired a car to drive to the ski resort. As soon as she got there, she sent me a few photos on WhatsApp, and it looked absolutely breathtaking. The scenery was stunningly beautiful, and although it was freezing cold, the sun was shining, and as soon as I saw it, I wished I was there. Every day my friend posted updates on social media, and she had such a marvellous time. As I said, she had never skied before, so went to ski school on the nursery slopes. But by the end of the week she had progressed to the steeper slopes. For people like us who come from hot, humid countries, being in a place covered in snow is an eye-opening experience. So now let's take a look at some of the language that has been used in this Part 2 answer. A good way to start your Part 2 answer is with I have decided to talk about. This is the present perfect, and it is a tense that not many IELTS candidates use because it's quite a difficult tense to use in English. But if you start your answer, whatever the topic, with I have decided to talk about, you've already shown the IELTS examiner that you can use the present perfect. Now notice all of my tenses I've used here, I have decided, I have been dying to. You can use contractions in the IELTS speaking, so I've decided to, I've been dying to, I've never been skiing before, and that is a very good thing to do in IELTS speaking. I've written them out in full in this answer and have used them in full just so you know which tense it is. Here we've got some present perfect continuous. I have never been skiing before, which is great complex grammar. I have been dying to do, again, present perfect continuous. And if you are dying to do something, it means you really, really want to do it. I'm dying to go skiing. You can use it in the present continuous. I'm dying to learn to fly. So something that you really, really want to do. A teeny bit jealous. This is very informal but fine for IELTS speaking, and it means a little bit, a teeny bit jealous. Look at the discourse markers that we've used, and you can see these throughout the answer. These add to your fluency and coherence grade, and I always do this in a speaking just to remind you of your IELTS writing. When we're using a however, we have a semicolon before it and a comma after. Here we could use admittedly, but here I've used I have to admit instead. And you can see the great range of grammar. She was going, so past continuous. This is very high level. 8s and 9 candidates would use this. She had never been skiing before. the past perfect continuous and had been saving up. So it's a long action in the past perfect continuous. A ski resort, this is what we call a place where you go skiing. So there are hotels and ski lifts and slopes, and we call it a ski resort. Relatively expensive. It is very expensive, but I've tried to make it more complex and said relatively, which means somewhat, quite expensive. Kit is a useful word, and it means equipment, the things that you need with you, the kit. Goggles are like in swimming. You wear goggles when you go skiing. We've got a modal passive here, needs to be hired. On top of all that, this is just an informal way of saying in addition to that, as well as that. And we've got in addition because we need our discourse markers to give it structure, and it helps with your fluency and coherence. Après-ski. This is a complex word that the English have taken from the French, and it literally means after ski or after skiing. And we talk about après-ski, and it's all the activities you do after skiing. And I've actually explained this in my answer to give myself more to say and to show the IELTS examiner that I know exactly what it means. Scrimping and saving. This is very complex language. It's quite informal, but good for IELTS speaking, not so much for IELTS writing. To scrimp means to try and save money by not having lots of takeaway coffees, for example, or buying cheaper food in the supermarket. So this phrase, scrimping and saving, means cutting back and saving money. Absolutely breathtaking. Many IELTS candidates use very simple adjectives. Oh, it was lovely, it was beautiful, it was nice. Make sure that you have lots of adjectives before you go into the exam that are complex, because at some point you may be describing a place. Absolutely breathtaking. The scenery, this is what you can see around you. This is the scenery in a place. It was stunningly beautiful. This is another complex phrase that you could use for talking about places. Instead of just saying it's cold, it's freezing cold. And the sun was shining, so we've got some past continuous in there as well. And I wished I was there. Some subjunctive there, past subjunctive. I wished I was there. So very good complex grammar. This is very useful for speaking because we talk about it a lot, because we use social media a lot to post and update. This means to put a picture or to put something on social media. We call them updates. A marvellous time, just another way of saying a great time, a wonderful time. Nursery slopes, when you go skiing, when you're a beginner, you go on the nursery slopes. It's like saying the baby slopes. But then you go to the steeper slopes. These are the bigger slopes. Got some good grammar here. Past perfect, had progressed. So whenever you use by, you can also use this in IELTS writing task 1 academic. By and a certain point in the past, you can use the past perfect. So by that time she had done this, so she had progressed. Hot, humid are very hot countries where it's kind of a warm, wet, sticky heat. And to talk about this experience, I've called it an eye-opening experience. So the reason she found it interested is an eye-opening experience. This is something that just makes you open your eyes. It's quite surprising. It's very different to other experiences that you have had.